Look, I'm from Congo, yeah. Right now, something like he said, some tribe, the Gola tribe, something like the Wola tribe, something like that. Yeah, he's saying the Rwandan people and my people from Congo, they're fighting each other. So if I came to illegally to UK, will you guys send me back to Rwanda where they're gonna kill me? You know, the British guy said he acted like he don't even know what Congo is. But Congo, where's Congo? What's the problem? You know, confused, bro.
Mm.
You know, he's telling him, where is Congo? Which part of Congo? North, east. He's acting like he don't know nothing, bro. Like he's never been to any university. The way he's talking, right? And it's on YouTube, brother. It was people got shocked, you know. So yeah, man, he's doing really well for the white supremacy right now. The Indian man. That's why right now, you know, and the anniversary of of Nelson Mandela. You know, when he was a prisoner in the prison, it just came up, yeah. One of the most racist MP in the UK, she went to South Africa to celebrate. So they said to him, look, when Nelson Mandela was locked up, did you protest for him? Did you protest? Did you say free Nelson Mandela? No, right? In fact, there was another woman, what was her name? Kaiser, you remember that woman called Theresa May, innit? Theresa May. You know Theresa May, right?
Yeah, I remember Theresa May.
You remember there was another lady, Theresa May, before her, Margaret Thatcher. I've heard of Margaret Thatcher. So Margaret Thatcher, at that time, when she was the leader of the UK, she used to call Nelson Mandela a terrorist, you know? So they were saying, when she was leading your party leader was saying Nelson Mandela was a terrorist, you know? But now you say, we got morals now. And then they keep asking her, why didn't you protest from Nelson Mandela? And I said, but the British government did this. She's always saying, but the British government. You know that much? So yeah, man. British imperialism, bruv, is at its finest, bruv. But I see it slowly getting cracked, you know. So when it get cracked, brother, that ugly face will come out. And that ugly face is just the honesty of the racism. You know? Sooner or later, they're just gonna be honest with that shit. You know? They're like, fuck you, knickknacks, man. Go back to your country, you know?
One thing I don't understand. One thing I don't understand, it might be because I grew up in Germany, is why is it just such a big deal to unmask the racism? That's what I don't get. Like maybe because I'm in Germany and the racism is open, when it's a little bit different. I'm not that let us say it doesn't impact me that much, or I don't have big feelings about it.
No,
like
you know, Germany is the wannabe most democracy and liberal nation, you know. But really, truthfully, is Germany is they're naturally racist people, you know. They're inherently racist.
Let me
what is this?
Let me read this. Yeah, let me read this meme, right? 2,000 years ago, that's the context, right? That's a useless desert wasteland. We are farmers. This is the Bantu speaking. Stop asking these stupid questions, Bugua. Kiongozi. This must be Kenyan. Why don't we settle in the land right there? There's somebody there. Oh, yeah, sorry. And then present day, Kenya, looking at the Somali. Haha, Jared Bantu scared of us. You'll never come to Somalia. We will. Oh shit! I'm gonna die, man. What the fuck?
Hey, but I missed the punchline. I was doing something.
What the fuck is this? What the?
Hold on. He was about to expansion. So
I think this is probably the funniest, and it's funny because you see Kenya there, then there's a zoo because it's conservation, right? They survived the Bantu expansion, right?
Okay.
Conserved in the zoo in the desert, coping. This shit is like this has to be the funniest meme I've ever seen in my life, man. Ah, shit, man. The meme literally chased away as Gertie. That's a question mark beside. Oh, it's a question mark. Ah, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah, everybody. That was a good meme, right? I know Snake Man and Nigeria First don't have the same, good humor, right?
And I
But
understand it. Everybody, you're funny as in Kaiser. Like straight up. I was laughing. I just moved myself.
yeah, I think I just almost died. That was my problem.
Uh, Somaliland. Oh, okay, Somalia. Okay, now I understand it. I always read it as Zoomland or something like that.
That was Zoomland. No, it's true though, right? I've always asked people, right? How are you gonna leave a lush green space and go live in a desert? Like, what the fuck, for real? I don't get that. Kaiser was tickled by that corny shit. Yes, this shit made me laugh. No, it's just honestly, like, for real, right? Why would you leave the Greenlands, right? Bountiful food. Then you go, you purposely go live in a desert. Like, you have to explain that shit to me, right? That's why you guys have like Fulani problems in Nigeria, because the Fulanis didn't want to settle in Greenland. So now they're coming to people's farms and eating their shit because of the backwardsness, right? That's the point.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different.
See, that you guys didn't fully get the whole joke. It's just the whole thing. It's just yeah. You got parts of the joke, right? But the full thing is, look, like that these are the Bantus here living in the Greenlands. That's a Somali there. And he's like, one Bantu's like, why don't you go live there? And that nigga is just like, mate, we are farmers. And then later on, and then you can see the Kenya is green, lush, it's working, and then there's a zoo there right next to it. Anyways, I'm done. Everybody, I'll give you respect. Semi-arid land is the best, Kaiser. Yeah, Kenya is actually semi-arid. Most Kenya is semi-arid, right? It's not a desert. So we chose a semi-arid land. Yeah, it's great. No, but they live in actual desert. That's the difference. We live in semi-arid lands. Ask Wangas, though, we live in a rainforest. The Oromo, they live in a semi-arid land. Even they don't live in a desert. Ethiopians don't live in a desert, right? How do you choose to live a lush green land to go live in a desert? I've never understood it. I will never understand it. The Chilanis people over there, shout out to them in Somalia, they don't live in a desert because they're smart, right? They're high IQ. Afroasiatic, they are erring if the exegesis is white supremacy. Yeah, depending. But look, Afroasiatic, the only issue I have with you is, why do you worship a white god like is in Islam, right? Why don't you go and worship Olua, or something like that? A real African god, right? You're worshiping Allah. Allah is not even Arab god, right? The Arabs literally stole from the ancient Sumerians. There was a god called Allah or Alat, right? You guys are even worshiping the wrong god. Yeah, right. I'll type it in there. As you can see, Allah, Mesopotamian god, right? And then you guys go, oh, it's not related. Really? So where's some brain rot? Shout out to you. You're probably one of the highest IQ edgelords out there. You're a bit crazy with edgelord stuff.
I'm not an edgelord. I'm just German.
Right?
How am I an edgelord?
You are literally a Nigerian from Germany in the black manosphere.
That doesn't make me. Hold on. So
you come from a functional society and culture. You come from a functional society and culture to go and enter into the bounds of degeneracy. Yeah, and you're even known in those places.
Hold on. I came in to explain what patriarchy was. I didn't understand. I failed. I accept that. I failed explaining what patriarchy.
You don't know what real patriarchy. Without power, there's no patriarchy, right?
That was one of the 5 pillars I didn't understand: power and men. Did you know how hard their brain start smoking when I explained to them? In a function patriarchy, women must accept it too. You know that. Like there's no such thing as you force them. Truly, you cannot truly force them.
Mm-hmm. Now look, this is what the Afro-Asiatic, Chilani, and all the Muslims, right? This is what you worship. You worship an idol god. You niggas just think I say shit because it's fun. Well, no, I say Allah, right, was a Mesopotamian god associated with the underworld. Your god is literally the devil. He functioned as the Tukal, attendant deity. He wasn't even just a devil. He was a servant. He was a slave. Why do you think it's Abdul Allah, right? Slave of Allah. Now, because Allah is a slave himself of Ngindish, whatever nonsense, and most likely was a dying god similar to Dumuzi and Damu, right? Damu means blood in some, etc. This is not a good thing, right? You're worshipping an underworld god that was himself a slave. Allah's name was written cuneiform, syllabically Allah, and you can't lie. Oh, it's not the same, bro. This is literally Phoenicians came from this, aka it is written the way it's pronounced because of the phonetics. So there's no way you can start talking about logographically. It's like this. No. Allah is the same way and it's pronounced the same way. It is literally the same. So you guys are right here worshiping some Sumerian devil who was even a slave themselves. That's insane. Right, like, bro, just read a little bit about this, right, from ancient Acadia and everything.
I can tell you, I think the worst time. I think let us go into in an alternate reality. So West is falling, and Africa just continues like that. The next 3 generations of that alternate reality would be so fucked because we Africans, we don't shut the fuck up about all those little secrets we know. Because right now, the reason why those white people you met last time, they're not so smart is because they just don't talk about it. There's the smart people of the society know it, but they just don't talk about it. We Africans talk about that shit. That is one of the reasons why that is one of the reasons why Arabs don't like us so much in their own land, because we point out something like that. Why is there an older god with the same name in the same region?
Yep.
From an older language, your language comes from.
Exactly. Like, there's some things that people don't like to contend with. So when I say that, because I don't want to be a coping person, right? When I talk about, reclaiming your African spirituality, I'm not coming from a black whatever nonsense. I'm just saying, if you're going to worship a god, at least worship a god that your ancestors, something you can relate with, worshipped. You're worshiping Allah, which is a demon slave from the Mesopotamian concept. I'm just saying what it is from reading. And you're claiming that this god is your god. Or if you're a Christian, you're worshiping, what's the other one? What do they call that nigga? Yahweh. That's another god from ancient Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that one is a deceiver as well. Like, these are demonic spirits from ancient Mesopotamia. You look at the whole Bible, you start looking, 10 commandments. There's 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. Literally at the same time that Moses literally, if he existed, lived and studied as a prince, educated in Egypt. Of course, he just rewrote what he got there and created his own little tribe and stuff. Before Moses, there's nothing written.
It's not only that. If you actually look at Torah, that is not in the Bible. There are a lot of in the Torah. Torah literally canonizes every fucking god in the classical era. Zeus existed, or the Sumerian god existed. All of them existed. They were just fallen angels. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That what I find funny about Islam and Christianity is like, because if you talk to Christian or some Muslims, not all, it's like, hey, you think Zeus was real? They say no, he never existed. Blah 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 blah. When I look at Torah, it says Zeus was real. It was just a fallen angel.
Yep. These are deities. They're worshiping false gods.
Yeah, so it means, because do you know what they mean? Because they don't want you to read. Because if Zeus was real, that means all the stupid shit Zeus did, like transforming, raping, all that. It happened. It happened, and that would diminish the power of Allah.
That's true. Now, Afro-Asiatic, right? You're a scholarly person. You should respect me enough to know that I am not look. People need to understand this. I'm not going to pull up right now in a live show with people watching a research paper or a book and start reading pages and pages of that book. I got to resort to something that I can show people in an immediate way that's not going to bore them, right? If you want me to go one day make a whole book about it, I can, but I promise you, I've read the books, I've seen the transliterations and again, the great thing about the brain rot, the great thing about the Mesopotamians, Sumerians, Akkadians, this stuff is literally where the Phoenicians came from, meaning everything is in phonetics, like how it's spelt, how it sounds, it's the same. So they can't, like how Jesus is Greek. Jesus doesn't really exist. It's Yahweh. I mean, not Yahweh. It's Yeshua. And even Yeshua is wrong because that is the Hebrew word. But if you look at the Aramaic, it's none of that stuff is going on here. This is all the same. Allah and Allah is the same. There's no difference between it at all. Even the Greeks are going back to their religion. Kaiser, did you see the post they made about the next Olympics? That's good. It's good. Everybody should go back to their religion, man. We the world were cucked by Jesus and Muhammad. That's the reality. We were cucked by them. If you're Arab, right, go become a Christian. If you're Arab, go become a Jew, right? These are both Arab gods, right? Who even they stole it from the Mesopotamians, right? In fact, where do you think, what's his name? Brain rot, that guy Abraham was from. He's from Ur. The nigga is literally from Mesopotamia. He ain't even an Arab.
That is a funny thing. It's literally written down. That is the funny thing is most of those ancient people didn't live where the people group claims that is the Holy Land. You know that,
This is funny. Yeah.
Like the ancestors of Abraham took the land.
Look at that. And Western brain rot, they're going to come for me, that the Muslims, in fact, they're gone quiet in the chat. Like, oh, no, it's not true. Bro, even Abraham, the originator, the father of Islam, right? The one who gave birth to, his wife gave birth to Ishmael, right? The chosen one. Or if you're from the other tribe, the other nigga.
Nah. Now, do you know how we call it? Ishmael's neglected. That's how we call it.
Right. See, now Muslims believe Ishmael's the chosen son, then the Christians and Jews believe it was Isaac. It doesn't matter anyways. Look at this. Where was Abram? The Bible states Abram was raised in Ur. Ur was literally a city in ancient Mesopotamia of the Chaldeans. Most scholars agree that Ur Kassid was the time city. Ur, it even has the same names today, right? It's Mesopotamia. Yes. Baghdad. These niggas were worshipping Baal. The demons, right? Fallen angels, as you said, and their Allah, their God. All these niggas are demons who get. Allah is a fallen angel.
But Kaiser, you are the reason why the Arabs don't let niggas in, because we are not blinded by ancient traditionalism, because it's not our tradition. We just look at the Bible. We see Ur. We look at the city as an ancient city Ur. That means that Abraham must be a Mesopotamian.
Yeah, but brain rot, let me ask you, how did you get into like reading history and understanding? Because most people, when you bring these things up to people, some of them find it difficult to piece it together because they don't know the towns, they don't know the
no, it's not about the towns. First of all, it's cope. Most people don't want it because they have a political ideology behind it, and the ideology, the legitimacy of the ideology is seniority. Do you know what seniority is?
Okay.
It basically means I'm right because I'm older than you. And when you say, okay, that one person comes from another region, so then the claim of the regions they want to claim is gone. That's why most people don't actually like history, because history is too human. And the reason why I started history is very easy. When I was in kindergarten, I watched a documentary about Alexander the Great. Then I asked my mother, who is that Muzungu wearing a skirt, riding a horse? Who is that? And then I started history, because I didn't understand what is 3,000 years. Does it mean he's still alive? And then I started history.
Okay, so you at least were trying to piece in the information, figure out where things came from, where they went, how you fit into it. Because I think, as you mentioned, right? Let's look at African history, right? Basic history, recent history. Everybody knows what happened to the Jews during the Second World War, right? Nobody, almost no African knows what happened to the Nama in Namibia, that area. Namibia. No one knows about the even Congolese one. genocidal attempt there that happened by the Belgians, and everybody's kind of one thing I realize is when you don't have like a worldview sort of understanding of history, you get caught up. Now I finally know what Eurocentrism and it is. It's not about looking at the world through just European eyes. It's actually it's worse than that. It's not knowing anything else and just taking the history as is presented to you. Rather than you even knowing how other things piece.
I mean, I can give you an example. Judah yesterday was booty clapping for the white people talking about Bantu supremacy. Half of those white people don't even know what Bantu is.
True.
And because I always ask Judah, the leadership in Ambazonia, do they agree with you? The reason why I did it, guys.
Yeah.
No. He ignored it because he playing into that. I call it the white ignorance. White people believe everything someone else says when it's from another race. The reason why I called out Ambazonia is to basically tell those white people who are more interested that just because one nigger from Africa says something doesn't mean it has weight in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still eating that shit up like it's fucking hot potatoes, and it's wrong. And that is something I experienced very often is that they take some things from some guy from somewhere like Siberia or some shit, and then they think that is now the golden rule over there. It's not. They are too lazy to on the internet and go on Google it for 5 minutes. Like,
you know what? You're right. I don't know if you. I think you already left before I was speaking to Be Brave. The guy is also kind of like an idiot as well in certain ways because I tried to speak to him. He mentioned, you're right. They don't even have the brain power to just go and do double check. Oh, what is this thing that has been presented to them? They just revert everything back to their perspective of limited, perception. They don't even know what you're talking about. They don't even go research. Oh, well, I even try to teach them. Oh, there's Bantu, Nilotes, this. They don't even know what the difference is. And they don't want to listen to what the difference is. They just revert everything back. And I had to kind of go ahead.
It has a reason because I think Be Brave. Where is he from? Is he from America?
He's American, yeah. Like from somewhere.
In America, it doesn't have any meaning. Now, like on the world, if Black Americans at some point go to the UN and try to do something on the world stage, it has meaning. In Africa, it has meaning, but in America, it has no meaning. So why should he change perspectives that doesn't have any meaning in the society? Listen. That's most of the time the problem, because I had discussion with American, and one American tried to tell me, oh, what was it? Mixed people, black mixed people are very new on Earth. And I told him, do you know what the Arab is? Do you know what the Sahelians are in the North African countries? Like Caucasian Negroid mix is not new.
Mm-hmm.
He could not understand it. He could not understand it because he had no understanding of the African continent. He didn't get it. He didn't get it that they are North African and Sub-Saharan African, and the borders are mixed. He couldn't understand. He thought mixed people are an American invention.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I'm like, nigga, you've been mixing for the last 350 years. Even there were mixed people in America, from the Spanish and the Moors and, whatever it is, the slaves there in Europe, way before America. Yeah, it's interesting. So basically, being a Hotep puts you on some Hotepism lens. Being also just part of these other cultures like, Europeans and Americans, they get caught up in this Eurocentric view. Like to them, black people are anomalous, right? I was telling Be Brave, I live in an all black country where like 95% of people are black Africans. The level of crime here is much less than it is in your country. So clearly something else is going on. You can't start putting the term black. You could say black Americans, but you can't use the term black, objectively. It doesn't make sense because it just doesn't work.
Yeah, but for that he must understand that there are black countries to begin with.
Yep.
It's a concept. No, not
Yeah.
the reality. It's a concept
Even
of
just a
it.
concept.
But once again, why should someone in America learn about a black country? Well, once again, that's just straight up. Why should they?
Mm, I see. I see.
And
So yeah, I guess.
that's why I don't like the Hoteps too, because I always told you, maybe now you understand. Hotep is just Western shit. It's the same shit. It's the same shit like the Reverse Vikings, Space Vikings, Hyperborea, Tataria, Flat Earth shit. Nephilim sometimes too, the Nephilim whole. It's the same ideology, it's the same way how to think about the world, just with a black coat. That's black coded. That's it. That's it. It's the same thinking. And I think you didn't understand what I meant when I once mentioned that I don't like those because it's too Western.
No, no. I finally. I think I finally sort of I've encapsulated everything you're saying because yeah, and also I think maybe Snake Man, issue with people like me and you, we're looking for some convergence of truth of this world, and we troll people when we realize we're not going to get through to them. So end up trolling people because that's the only way to cope actually around that.
You know how I into manosphere because we talked about it. I call that how to when you think like this white supremacist or hoteps and such. I call it white boy cope speed force. Because that is an energy that is very strong. Like a lot of people cannot resist that white boy cope speed force. It's intoxicating being ignorant to this level because everything is simple. But once you leave that white country and go to Asia or to Africa, even to South America, in some parts of South America, all that ideology you have, it doesn't make sense no more. It literally doesn't.
Nigerian Prince, have you kidnapped some kids? We do not associate with anything that the people that call into this show do. Shout out. So let me just read this quickly so everyone is in the same page. Shout out to those people who are going to say, well, but Snake Man, why do people like, bro, I have freaking PhD in research. They really think I get my information from Wikipedia without fact checking it from other sources.
Like, propaganda. Once again, most of the ideology is connected to politics. That is things that happens right now in the world. It doesn't fit into the Islamic politics that the name Allah was used in the past by groups. We can literally follow the linguistic lineage and say, yeah, you descend from them, from the language.
Okay.
Why would Arabs put that knowledge out? Well, what political?
It wouldn't help them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Doesn't mean it's a lie.
No, I've read the books. They exist, scholarly books. But let's go ahead and read this, excerpt, so people at least want to watch this video, they can see what's really going on over here. Allah, right, was a Mesopotamian god, not an Islamic or Arab god, associated with the underworld, right? So he was a demon. He was in fact the demon lord, right? He functioned as a sukal, right, attendant deity. Allah was actually a slave, right? He was a slave of the underworld, right? It's here. This is Sumerian script, and Mesopotamian scripts, from Sumerian, and of this names here sounds a bit African, but Nigishzida, and was most likely a dying god, right? So Allah was a slave demon god, according to the ancient Mesopotamian logic. And I said, as I mentioned earlier, right, if you look at Allah and Abraham was the first Islamic and Christian figure that was important, right? He gave birth, or his wife did, to Ishmael and also the other nigga called, what was his name again? Ishmael and Isaac, right? Ur is a city in Mesopotamia where he got all this stuff from, right? That god that they were worshipping was Allah, which is a demon. I'm talking about the Mesopotamian. The Islamic Allah, that's a whole separate thing, right? But I'm just saying that Islam and Christianity was a religion that was stolen from the ancient Mesopotamians, the same area, same everything.
If you, okay, you can.
Okay, No, I'm not blasphemous. I'm reading excerpts.
No, the
You are
problem is the problem. Okay, continue, Kaiser. I'm sorry.
You are brainwashed and ignorant. Islam started. It's the Ma'at. Oh my God! You see, this is what I'm talking about. Now we got a
I
whole
told you. I told you.
That
Seniority
doesn't
is a
understand anything I've just said.
no,
Like,
no, because
bro,
he doesn't understand the timeline. It's a seniority argument.
timeline, bro.
Islam.
Yes,
Hey, hold on. Islam started. My guy, we talking about a god that was worshipped. Says
yes.
a grand
Oh
ancestor.
God.
Muhammad didn't walk around. What you talking about?
Oh my God. I have not even contradicted like the Ma'at part, right? Obviously, bro, listen
He
to what I'm saying.
didn't. He doesn't understand that between that Allah and his Allah, there is literally I don't know what 3-4 millennia.
There's the Egyptian system as well, Ma'at, and bro, listen to the full thing, then come. By the way, you can call in if you want to come against it, right? I'm not saying Islam does not have Ma'at stuff going in there. We know this, right? You're talking about Egypt. Egypt is much younger than freaking ancient Mesopotamia. We're not talking about Egyptian stuff. That's much later. That's when Moses, right? Prophet Musa, was in Egypt and got influenced by the Ma'at, wrote the 10 Commandments and anything that's related to the Torah, right? And then influenced. No one is going against that, right? I'm not even going to go there. But
do you not understand when people talk about Abrahamic religion, that is a Middle Eastern religion. You know, there are cultures 10 times older than any kind of any ancestor of Abraham. You know that before Abraham and his ilk wandered to Earth, there were humans there, and they did different things. That's why I say, because it's a political statement. It's a seniority argument. Yeah. That's why they don't understand history.
Right? Look at this, right? Now that this person is saying I don't think they read or heard anything I've said. Now they're saying what I'm saying. Oh, Trinitarians and false Christians started in Summa. You even in the wrong timeline. All of it started in Summa. Literally all of it. That just started from Abraham, literally the so-called father of all nations and father of Islam and Christianity, who was from Ur. Okay, both of them started from Summa. And there's no difference between Christianity and Islam. How is these people's IQ even allowed?
Yeah, and why is he talking about the Trinity? The Trinity is a new shit.
Yeah, that's some new stuff.
We talking about people who are so old the Trinity looks like baby shit. In Hebrew, that's why I say everything is political. It's political. They don't give a fuck because it doesn't further their politics.
Yeah, so Chilani says the name Allah is probably a contraction of the Arabic Al-Ilah, the God. The name, but why is it called the God? Because there was a God called Allah. You guys are coping within
once again, earlier Semitic. Who were the people of early Semitics? It wasn't the Arabs.
It's freaking Sumerian. These people.
It was the Sumerians. That's why I tell you.
That stuff. These people.
It's like you know that those early Semitics had tribes and cities and names. Like, why were you playing that game? It's like when I told you, it's like they already know it. Abrahamic religion, a Middle Eastern religion. Who are the oldest Middle Eastern? Who are the oldest? Who is the grandpappy of the Arabs? Who is the grandpappy of the Christians?
It's Summa, right? Like, Acadia is much, much later. Anyways, Joe, so we've come through, we're doing a deep dive, Allah, and also Jehovah and all those people started from ancient Sumerian, and of course Christianity and Islam both stole from ancient Egypt, specifically the principles of Ma'at, 42 negative confessions, which got transliterated into the 10 Commandments, right? They just shortened it because it kind of repeated itself a little bit. So, for example, it says, I have not committed robbery. I have not committed robbery with violence. In Bible it just says I've not stolen, right? They've just kind of made it shorter. So, Joe, should Africans leave behind these Arab traditions and Arab gods and go back to their traditional Black African spirituality? Go ahead.
Oh man, and now it's whole tapping. We talking about Sumerian. He's about it's the 25th dynasty over here.
Okay, MKT say, Kazura, look at the symbol on money pieces used during the first Islamic State. You'll be surprised. Okay, I'll check that out. Go ahead, Joe. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, I guess so. So, I know Jai is online, and Jack can help me out. I just came in late. I'm not an expert in this subject, but I know, like, you guys talked about Trinity, and the Trinity actually derived from not even it was used in ancient Egypt, but it actually derived from Babylon, where Nimrod, who is like AKA Joseph, slept with his slash mother and wife and gave birth to their son. Is he called Tammuz or something like that? Help me out, Ja. And that is how, I mean, that's not Trinity. Sorry, that's not the Trinity, but that is how the whole mother, father, and son concept came about. Just like what you were discussing with, what's his name, with the brother here. I can't see. Yo, Kaiser, man, I'm also looking for the truth, man. Like for the past 2
Joe,
years.
I have a question. Why you brought up the Trinity? We were just talking about the language. That's it, and where it comes from. Why you brought up the Trinity?
That's why I said I came late, and I said it's not linked to Trinity. I made a mistake. I said the whole like.
No. I'm not saying that. Why you bring up it at all if we're talking about languages, where languages come from? So
That
word
is
you
why
speak.
That is why I told you I came late, and I'm talking about the concept of Joseph, Mary, and the son Jesus. It actually came from Babylon. We're talking about religion here, right? All these religions related to Abrahamic.
No, we're
correct?
talking about ancestry. We're talking about old shit, history.
Okay, I'm answering
So,
what
Joe,
Kaiser just asked me,
you've not
basically.
said- okay, so Joe, you've not said anything wrong, but the timeline, right? Babylon is much later, and Babylon is it's a precursor. Sumer is much older, right? So you are not wrong. All those concepts came from there. We're saying forget the Trinity and all that stuff. Set, and if you go to ancient Egypt, Set and Isis, the mother of Mary, whatever it is. We're not even talking about that stuff. We'll get there. We're saying even the primary god systems were stolen from ancient Sumeria. We use Allah as an example here. Allah is an ancient demon god from ancient Sumer. Do you agree with that?
Basically, we're talking about the first Middle Eastern civilization and what they did. The grandfather of all the shit that happens right. Not even the grandfather, the grandfather of all the shit that happens right now. That's why I asked you, why you bring up new shit?
Because Kaiser, yo, hold your emotions, man. Kaiser's asking me, do we go back to African spiritualism or should we follow these? That's what Kaiser asked me.
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
That's what he did.
Did you have a conversation with him into chat, Kaiser?
So hang on. It's okay. We can accommodate everyone. So Joe, finish your statement about the Trinity, Babylon, and then we'll go to Afroasiatic. Then we'll go around.
No, it's okay. I'll just answer your question. To be honest, with I don't want to break anybody's spirituality belief here, but I've always thought of going back to African spiritualism. Because all this was brought to us by colonialism. But hey, don't take my words for it, man. If you believe it's the truth, Abrahamic religion or Islam, you just go for it, man. But I just think we just go back to our roots, ancestors worship, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Spiritualism,
but
yeah.
But we don't have any real African religions. They only
there's one thing we all have in common, which is spiritualism, basically worshiping of nature and asking our ancestors to guide us in this world, since they have experience of that. That's one thing we have all in common.
True.
It means that's
so we need to develop a system, right? Go ahead, Western Brain Rot.
No, I just wanted to say worshiping your ancestors and nature is the entire world, but hey.
So it's what?
Everyone did it. It's a human thing.
Well, I know. I think the Asians also do it, and I don't think the Europeans do it. Well, Eastern Europe, they didn't do it.
I said everyone did it.
And I'm answering you that Asians did it, but Europeans did not do it.
Hold on. So they're saying there was no druids in Europe before the Germans came in? Even the Germans version?
I'm talking about Eastern Europe, paganism, Eastern European before
Yeah,
Christianity went there.
yes, and the only thing I'm telling you, listen, everyone did it. It's a human thing.
Who is everyone to you? Like the whole world?
Yes, human. Do you know what human is? Homo
No.
sapiens sapien.
Okay, so fine. Let's just go back to our roots and how things are, because these other religions were brought up to us. That's what I'm just saying. But if you feel comfortable with the Abrahamic religions, then stick to it. That's all.
I didn't say that. That's why I say it's
No,
every time it's
I'm not
political.
saying you said that, man. I'm just giving it to the people listening. I'm not saying you said that.
You're preaching, brother. You're preaching. It's
No,
okay.
I'm not preaching. I'm answering questions. Stop getting emotional, man. What's wrong with
I'm
you?
not getting emotional. I'm just
You
staying
are
on
getting
topic.
emotional. Why are you
Afroasiatic,
just raising your voice and you're shouting?
Afroasiatic. Continue.
Peace to the brothers. Peace, Kaizo. Yeah, Kaizo, I
Peace.
see your source and everything, bro. Yes, sir. I see the source. But there's other linguistics that would challenge that source. But my interest is not really just in challenging the linguistics. My interest is in challenging the ethnogenetic background of how we perceive the Arabian Peninsula. That's the issue at hand, I believe, in this discussion of what is the source of Islam, what is the source of the Quran, what is the source of the Torah. We gotta accept, we don't have to accept, but we should familiarize ourselves with the modern archaeology of the Arabia-Nubia complex. And once we understand that from Oman, which is the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, to northwestern Arabia, Jawaf, Medina, up to Imram culture in northern Arabia into Levant, we find a Nubian complex that can give us an ethnogenetic context to this conversation that is often misunderstood,
I don't disagree.
overlooked.
I don't disagree that the Summers may have been black-headed people from what we consider Afrocoids.
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question to everyone? Do you talk about the same people group of the? Do you talk about the same people group like the Natufians? Do you talk about those ancient people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we are not disagreeing. We don't disagree.
Right. Yeah. Because the Natufians are distinctly or very closely related to what we call a modern Yoruba Mindi. That's according to modern genetics. A Natufian is basically related to a modern Yoruba Mindi, but is a mosaic of basically Iberian, Afro-Arabian, Omotic DNA. Some, I believe, about 10% Nilotic in that stock as well. So all of these populations were in contact at one time, but relevant to the conversation is important that we place it in a Nubian context, because the modern archaeology places the Arabian Peninsula, the Levant, in a Nubian complex. Of late, we have 2024, 2023 articles that reveal that Syria was a part of this Nubian complex. What I mean by complex is arrowheads, cores, but mostly we can stick with the Nubian bow because that's what's the most popular, and it was an important weapon in those time periods. Who had the bow, the perfection of the bow, and the usage of those cores. But that's all a Nubian complex. I believe that we overlook that in these conversations.
Can I ask you something? Because me and Kaiser agree on what you said. We don't really talk about it, but could you explain to us, the panel, why men of history can talk about this, but men of politics never bring up those, like you say, Nilotic people, those Natufians or ancient Nilotes who ran around the Middle East? Why wouldn't they bring it up, even if it's backed up by facts and sources?
That's a great question, brother. What's your name again?
It's Snake Man, but right now
that's right.
It's Western
Snake Man. Peace to you, bro. And in my humble opinion, it's racism. You know, that's why I was talking about when we was talking about Islam earlier, and I said we got to get the Aryan white exegesis out of the Quran and out of what we call Islam. But that's a part of it. And that's why a lot of these Europeans don't want to enter Nilotics into the conversation. They don't want to enter Natufians because they know that they're talking about populations that we would recognize as being distinctly sub-Saharan African. But their genetics may in fact be Afro-Eurasian. And we do see that distinctly in the genetic record. You know, so my argument is just not solely based on linguistics. It's based on the fact that we are poorly informed about the background of the Arabian Peninsula, of a green Arabia, of a green Sahara, and the interaction of those populations in a green Sahara, in the Nile Valley,
because
all the way to West Africa.
I just wanted to talk because me and Kaiser were talking at the beginning when I came in, not at the beginning of the stream, about all those ancient peoples who have basically Negroid features, curly hair, nose, bridge, you know, all that dark skin, but genetically they are not related to the modern African. Maybe to the ancient African in the past, there's a cousins or something like that. But I pointed that out, those groups, because I never went to those discussion points. Those groups migrated there. That means there's a space between Africa and Asia. Those groups were there. Where are they now?
Right. And that's why that DO, you know, I don't really want to get away from the religious topic, but that's why that DO is in the Nigerians. That's a huge area of land to have traversed. And if we are to say, for those who believe that Africans were only introduced to maritime trade or even activity, you know, the D in the Jawara is 60,000 years old. Then we find it in Nigerians. That's a vast space. So somebody was on boats a very long time ago. So we can throw it out of the water. We can blow it out of the water when people say that Africans or black people weren't on boats long before Europeans. I hate when people say that, because the Andaman Island is a 60,000-year-old isolated specimen of a D, you know, so they had to be on boats, you know, since only Allah knows, you know, how long they were on boats. But the archaeology of the Nubian complex is what solidifies Africans, or definite Africans. The glyph, I know that Kaizo don't like to get into it, but the glyph would be NHS. That is Nahesi or Nahas. That's all over the Arabian Peninsula. That's all over Syria. But modern Egyptologists tell us that glyph means Nubian, but it's all over West Asia. It's all over Arabia. It's all over Syria. It's all up in the Levant area. You know, we can bring up those papers. I have a few of those papers on deck, you know. So I think that the Torah and the Quran must be placed in a distinct Nubian complex. Like there's another guy, I'll wrap it up after this. There's another guy, his name is John D. Baldwin, and he wrote a book called Prehistoric Nations. He talked about the Cushites, or the black Nubians who inhabited the Arabian Peninsula. I mean,
even the people themselves talk about it, like, and that's why I don't like.
Even from the Bible, right?
No, not only the Bible, the Torah too. Like they talk about it that the ancestors of Abraham migrated in, and they already were humans there. They called them the Canaanites, and that the Canaanites are descendants of Ham, who is around North East Africa, is that region. So they already know, because they are humans there, and those humans are the cousins of the people who live in Africa. They already talk about it, but why I don't like modern politics is you can explain it with basically the Natufians, the ancient peoples that lived here, blah 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 blah. A modern day a modern day guy would just say, "Oh, it's a Canaanites, a Canaanites, a Canaanites," and wouldn't even understand what the Canaanites means in historical, and just would use it as a political thing. That's why I do not like it. That's why I told Kaiser was the reason why no one is talking about the things that actually happened is because it is not political. It doesn't bring them any political gains. Like what does it help the Middle East talk about the Natufians? What does it help them? What does the government in Saudi Arabia get from talking about the ancient
Snake
Arabs?
Man, Snake Man. This is why genetic testing is outlawed amongst modern Israelis, because they know that they have no genetic connection to the land. They are Khazars. But when we look at who does have a genetic connection to the land, we're talking about Natufians. We're talking about Beja. We're talking about people that are populations amongst Masi that are all the way in Burkina Faso and in populations in Senegambia. Some Yoruba populations. These are the populations that have actual genetic history or genetic lineages that go back to these areas of the world, as well as others. But it don't got nothing to do with white folks, basically. So it's very important.
I can tell you right now, let's just say in 2-3 generations, when that Khazarian admixture mixed in with the local Arabs.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
To my brother here.
Okay,
So, you talked about Black people being in the Arabian Peninsula and stuff, the Nilotes and the Kushites. I'm actually a Nilot myself, but in connection with the Hebrew Israelites and your belief, I don't know if you're a Hebrew Israelite, do we really have proof that, because this is a question I have for Hebrew Israelites a lot, do we have proof that they were actually, I'll use the word black people with the Negroid features living in the Arabian Peninsula, like we originated from Israel or that side?
Yeah, I would say respectfully, bro. Yeah, we got plenty of proof that Black people inhabited the Arabian. We got a lot of proof in linguistics. We have a lot of proof. Like, just for example, really quick, let's take the word Napatian. Now, when we look at the word Napatian, we see a Romanized form. But when we get to the actual language of Aramaic, we get a pronunciation that is like Nabate or Nubutu, which takes on a very distinctly Proto-Afro-Asiatic pronunciation that just reigns phonetically more African in its pronunciation versus Napatian versus Nabate or Nabutu, which would be very different. But if we are only acquainted with the Romanized forms, then we're never going to be able to recognize the Proto-Afro-Asiatic and its close relationship with Africa. We're not going to be able to pick up on that because we're not familiar with the language. We're not familiar with the Proto-Afro-Asiatic.
Can I ask, Kaiser, can you bring up the pictures of those ancient Indians we had to prove a point?
Okay. While he's bringing the picture, I don't disagree with what he's saying with the phonetic linguistics, the way of pronouncing the words. But you do realize that through trade, right? Those days, of course, we used to do mostly trade on the coasts, or some of them used to come inland. But through trade, we got to also adapt some of their languages, just like in Kenya, the Bantu-speaking Swahili people adopted some Arabic words to their language through trade with the Arabics. I don't think that.
Okay, why are you talking about the Bantus when we're talking about the Natufians?
Because it's the same topic. There's no difference. I was giving.
No, it's not. It's not.
I was giving an example. But anyways, my question was not to you.
Can you give an example that from older people?
So yeah, brother, I was asking you the question before I got interrupted.
On Bantu.
No, that was okay. Forget about that. That was just an example. But don't you think that we adopted some languages through
Oh, you
trade?
was talking Snake Man.
Yeah, I was talking to you.
Yeah, but when we talk, and that's another issue. When we talk about trade, trade along the Swahili coast and
No, no, no. I was
between
no.
the
Okay, okay.
Swahili
Listen,
coast.
listen to my question. Forget about the Swahili
Okay,
thing. Listen.
okay, Jojo,
I asked
Jojo,
you.
make
I
it.
asked you.
Jojo, do you see those people?
Okay, go
Those are
ahead. Maybe
ancient.
I'm lost. Go ahead, bro.
No, I give
No,
you,
no,
I give
please.
you
Can you
answer.
stop? Can you stop interrupting? Let me just ask
No,
him
Jojo,
the
Jojo,
question.
I answer your question. These are ancient Indians right there. These are ancient Indians right there.
Actually, no. These are the ones who are from that island that is part of
No,
India.
that are not the Sentinelese Island.
No, that's the base. That's the base of Asia right there on the screen.
Yeah.
That's the
Yes,
D
that are not
haplogroup.
Sentinelese.
Yeah.
That's the D haplogroup.
But genetics have been
Concentrated.
proven that
Endogamy.
Genetically,
genetics, yes, have been proven that they don't have any links with Africa.
That's a
Yeah,
concentrated.
that's
pure
our
D.
point. That is our point. That is the purest version of it.
Yes.
Because at some point they left Africa, and because of the length, because there are millennia between them, their genetics are not the same as the modern African right now. But we can see the phenotype. So when you say, oh, genetics doesn't mean phenotype, my friend. Those genetics are nearly the same genetic as the Indians, without the Indo-European admixture. But you see the phenotype: curly hair, dark skin, brown nose.
Okay, so let me just rephrase my question to my brother here. So I asked you the question like, how is there any proof that we used to be in the Arabian Peninsula? And you told me through the linguistic and the way of pronouncing the words. So I told you that some people adopt words from people of different cultures through trade. It happened a lot through trade. People adopted languages. Could you comment on that?
No, what I would say some of the most critical evidence that Africans were in the Arabian Peninsula is the Arabia-Nubia complex. The nomenclature, the scientific terminology is the Afro-Arabian Nubian complex. That is not my nomenclature. That is not my language. That is the scientific terminology that describes the complex of the bows, of the arrowheads, the different tool assemblages. That's what I'm talking about. That's what locks Nubians into the Arabian Peninsula. 100%. We find those cores in Syria. We find those cores in Oman. We find those cores all over the Arabian Peninsula, but they are Nubian cores. So there's no question in my mind that Africans or Black people or Nubians were in the Arabian Peninsula, if I have to reiterate that, and I believe that is the context of the context that the discussion needs to be in when we start talking about Bible and Quran. Because when we look at Mecca, it's a black stone. Let's just strip it of all the Islamic jargon and different labels and tags. The central symbol of Islam is a black stone, a black box, and a black veil. How much blacker do you have to get for us to understand that it got something to do with blackness? I mean, let's just strip it down raw. Let's take away everything and just deal with that right there. It got to have something to do with blackness. And it does have something to do with blackness. That's why the atom of the Quran is described as Hama em Nasnun, meaning a black atom. But it's a Satan there that rebels against him. That's what I mean about we got to get the Aryan Arab out of the exegesis, because he's not going to put emphasis on the black atom. But we got to understand that the atom is black according to Allah, not me. Not just my desires, not just my heritage, not just what I believe. It's according to the Holy Quran. But the Aryanized Arab is not going to put that on the table in front of the African. That's the problem. That's where the racism comes in at. That's where a person like myself comes in at, that is studying the language and can see that it's significant. And Africans should be aware of that. Who is being described here? Hama Emnasnun. Why isn't the Aryan Arab bringing that to your attention? It's not racism. It's what Allah says in the Quran. That's what I mean about even we got to get away. I respect the Sunni, but we got to just deal with Islam, because it's a lot of what we call Sunnah that's really Aryan white Arab worship. And we got to make a distinction with that too.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And can I ask a question to the whole class? Am I allowed to do that? I don't know who the moderator is, Kaizo or...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in fact, what the brother is saying is making a lot of sense. And that leads to my other question, which are the Hebrew Israelites? This is not a Hebrew Israelite discussion. I'm just using them as an example because they're the only ones who believe in this black Arabian thing. And what other Hebrew Israelites believe in? Because Hebrew Israelites, I don't know why, it's like one belief, but people have different beliefs in it. They believe that the Bible, with all these stories of these prophets, this Abrahamic, Moses, and whatever, it all happened in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia. Even they believe the Holy Land, the holy city Jerusalem, even the true Holy Land Israel is in Ethiopia. There's a whole documentary I watched on it, and it makes sense. And they said that the colonizers, they changed the name, even the river Euphrates. How do you say, Kaiser? Euphrates, the one that's supposed to dry up and something like that. How do you call it? Yeah, it dried up in Iraq. I think the island is the river is in Iraq or Iran something, and that's supposed to be a sign of the Most High coming back, which hasn't come back. And the real river is actually Ethiopia. It never dried up. So what can you guys say about that? Do you believe the Bible is all twisted and then they change the names and they are in Middle East to confuse people more, to thinking that that's where the biblical story happened, but not in East Africa? Because if my brother is saying most of the characters were blacks, then it makes sense if it was in Ethiopia.
Brother,
100.
Sorry, I'm ignorant. I know I'm ignorant. I'm just asking questions.
You're 100% correct. The Europeans changed the names. That's why people don't understand. That's why Jacob's name is changed to Israel. That's why there's a name change in the text that is significant. But if we learning it from
sorry to cut you. I meant the names were changed geographically. Yeah, I meant the names were changed geographically. That Jerusalem is not the actual Jerusalem of today. It was in Ethiopia. Israel is not the actual Israel of today. It was in Ethiopia. That's what I mean.
So the problem is
go ahead.
The problem is that
there's
a political thing comes in. Why? Okay, let's okay. The colonizers, European in the 1800s came in this thing. Why do older people who doesn't follow colonizers' ideology talked about these places?
Yeah,
Is that my question?
For example, the Romans.
I wanted to raise a point to the name change.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the name change. The Europeans changed the name in the scriptures, because when we look at the Egyptian records, when we look at the records of the Eastern Desert, we don't see the name Israel. We see Canaanites, we see Esau, we see Edu, we see a lot of different ethnonyms in the Eastern Desert, but we don't see that word Israel. We see Seir, which is a place that's in the Arabian Peninsula as well, and we see the tribal confederation of what they call Shasu or Shasu nomads, but we don't see the word Israel because the Europeans changed the names. The Europeans did that though.
Yeah, but I think we have to have a timeline. When we say European changed the name, we say the middle-aged European when they got the Bible changed the name. What they always do is they always change the names.
Yeah, they changed certain names. Also, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kaiser.
Yeah, also if you look at the purposeful renaming of Egypt and reclassifying as part of the Middle East, even the whole so-called Israel cutting off the African continent through the buildings of certain rivers there, cutting off and buildings of certain
Suez
bridges.
Canal.
Yes, Suez Canal. That was on purposeful. It was reclassification of Northeast Africa into a separate region for political influence and power. And also, I wanted to kind of add a couple of things here, because if you're trying to build a mind map, I do find it kind of interesting, right? There's some contradictions based on, let's say, Eurocentrism. So an example is the Colchis. The Colchis were a group of people around Russia region. Now, according to the sources of that time that wrote and claimed to have seen these people, one of them is Herodotus, right? The so-called father of modern history. Now, he claims that the Colchis were just like the Ethiopians, right? And he classified Ethiopians, of course, is another name for the Kushites, which was from Sudan, right? Not modern day Ethiopia, right? That the modern day Ethiopians, for people who don't know, was created in 1896 when the king decided to rename the kingdom of Aksum into Ethiopia for obviously historical reasons, etc. So Ethiopia was more Sudanic region. So anyways, he said the Herodotus mentioned, right, the Colchis were dark-skinned, curly-headed people, right, just like the Egyptians, and the Colchis were just like the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, right? Dark-skinned, curly-headed people. So the question is, how did they change this history, even though there's sources from people that they, just like them, Europeans, who wrote it down, but somehow it begins and begs the question of reanalysis. Why can't they just accept?
Very easy. I told you. Nowadays, everything is driven by politics. Was introduced by the colonizers. Everything must be political.
Yeah.
That's why I say, if you talk about ancient peoples, most people don't talk about it because it has nothing to do with nowadays politics. That's the reason why. That is the reason why most don't talk about it, because once again, what does it help the modern Arab that finds out that his ancestors was a Nubian? What does it happen right now? There's all the things that happened from his ancestors till now. Maybe in the future, when the geopolitical things change, it helps, but most people don't talk about it because it doesn't help them right now into politics.
Like, even these brothers that say that they are Israelites, they cannot effectively understand the Bible without studying the Egyptian records. You can't effectively understand the Bible without studying the Egyptian records. Like, for instance, Thutmose III, he was a pharaoh of Egypt, but he arrested groups that were in the Negev, right there in the corridor where you go through to reach Africa, where we was just saying earlier, the Suez Canal. He arrested people in that area. He said he arrested Shasu and he arrested Abiru. What's important for us to understand about those records in stone is that he made a distinction between Abiru and Shasu. We find far more history in stone in Egyptian records that demonstrates that Shasu were the original inhabitants of, or what we call Bedouin stock, that was in the Arabian Peninsula and that was in the Levant. We find a lot of records that say that. What we find about the Abiru is something different. We find a Syriologist, Chicago University, Janet Finke. She says that in the Abiru was a dirty, stinking, filthy, murderous robber from the European steppe. She said that if you touched one of them, you may have caught a disease. According to the